along with me, you'll go to Google Classroom and you'll see a document called Thursday Examples. And there's two options. There's the PDF for those of you guys that prefer the PDF, and there's um, there's also a Google Doc for those of you guys that prefer the Google Doc. So if you go to um, Google Classroom, go to classwork, um, you'll see something called Thursday Examples. Yep. And again, you can. It's up to you. You can do these along with me, or you can just watch. We're going to do them all together, and then I'm going to give you time to start your homework. All right. I'm going to click on this one, the Google Docs. It doesn't really matter which one you do. Okay. So there's three parts of these answers. We're going to say yes or no. Let me get my pen out here. So we're going to say, first we're going to say yes or no. Let me see if I can make this pen smaller. I hate when this gets too big. Okay. Then part B, we're going to, if it's yes, right? If it's yes, we're going to write either AA, SAS, or side, side, side. Yep. And then C, we're going to complete the similarity statement. Okay, so those are the three parts. So let's start off with number one. There we go. Finally, I got the small pen. All right, so first of all, I have. What's that? All right, I have two. Go ahead. Okay. I have two vertical angles. I know these are congruent. But now I'm looking at this triangle up here. This one has 75 degrees. This one doesn't have 75 degrees. This one has 67. This one doesn't. I need at least two angles. I need all three angles to be congruent, and I don't even have two. So the answer to this one is just a no. All right? I don't have to do anything else. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to type in no. And I don't have to do anything else. All right, now, and let me know if I'm going too fast. Now I'm going to look at number two. Vertical angles again. This angle and this angle are the same. They're congruent. And look, I've got side angle, side, side angle, side. And these sides are definitely in the same proportion. 21 over 7 and 21 over 7, those are clearly equal to each other. And I did the big triangle on top and the small triangle on the bottom. So this is a yes. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to type in yes. And the reason is side angle side. And then now I want to match this up. Okay. This starts with angle J. So angle J in the big triangle and angle J in the little triangle are the same. So I'm going to start this off with angle J. All right. And if you notice, these two sides are the same in both triangles. So this one, it doesn't matter. I can say JFE, or I can say JEF. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to pick one. I'm going to say JFE. Do I need to explain number 1 or number 2 a little bit better for anybody?
No.
No, mister.
All right. Should I wait before I move on?
No, mister, you can move on.
All right. Does anybody need me to wait?
We should consider answers for them.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so let's take a look at this one. If this is going to be anything, it's going to be side angle side, isn't it? Because that's what I have labeled in this: side angle side, side angle side. I know the two angles are congruent. I just have to see if the sides are in the same proportion. So I'm going to pick a system. I can pick whatever I want, but I'm going to put big triangle on top, small triangle on the bottom. So I'm going to take the biggest number first. The biggest number from the big triangle is 91. The biggest number from the small triangle is 39. And I'm going to see if this equals the same ratio of the small sides. So in the big triangle, the smallest number is 63. And in the little triangle, the smallest number is 27. Now I'm going to need a calculator. When I divide 91 divided by 39, this gives me 2.333 repeating. When I do 63 divided by 27, this also gives me 2.333 repeating. So this is a yes.
Side angle side.
Side, and good, and it's side angle side. So I'm going to go down here. Now I'm going to write yes. Now if you do the PDF, you'll see 3 different boxes. So one for the yes, one for the side angle side, and one for the similarity statement. The reason is side angle side. And now I have to be careful. All right? So I'm looking up here. They start with angle H. Well, angle H is this angle. And in my other triangle, angle Q is the same as H. So I want to write Q first. And now let's look at H to G. H to G is the smallest side in the triangle. So over here, what's the smallest side? It's 27. So I want to pick Q to R. And then I know S must be last. And you down here, you can't do the little triangle symbol. So all you have to do is just say QRS. How are we feeling about number 3?
Good.
Okay. Can anybody tell just from looking at number 4 whether it's a yes or a no?
No.
No, you can't tell, or are you saying it's a no?
I can't.
Yeah, because there's the number 28 is not the same as the number 29. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and look, this one has 2 sides that are the same, and this has 2 sides that are different. So they're not going to be similar. I do have an angle that's the same, but when I try to match up these sides, 28 over 14 and 29 over 14, they're not the same.
Yeah.
So this one's a no, and that's all I have to do is just write no.
No.
Right. Don't have to say anything else. Should I wait before we move on, or is it okay to move on?
It's okay. It's okay, mister. You can move on.
Okay. Anybody want me to wait? All right, let's do 2 more like this, and then I'm going to show you a new kind of problem. Let me erase this writing. Okay. So this one here, I always want to be on the lookout for vertical angles. I have vertical angles. Those are the same. And hey, I've got two 40-degree angles. These are the same. So that's all I need. I know if the two pairs of angles are congruent, then the last pair of angles are going to be congruent. So this is a yes. What's the reason on this one?
Because those angles are the same.
Yep.
Congruent.
Angle, angle, yep. And now I want to be careful about the order of the angles. So first of all, JKL is the top triangle. They start off with angle J.
You.
So angle J in the top triangle matches up with angle J in the bottom triangle. So I'm going to use J first.
Thank God.
And then they give K second. Well, K is the 40-degree angle.
Hey, Mister, no.
Down here,
Yeah.
C is my 40-degree angle. So C has to be next. And then B must be last. Do we understand why it's JCB, or do I need to explain that again?
No. You can move on.
Let's move on, Mister.
All right. All right, number 6. First thing I'm going to point out is the vertical angles. Angle E in this triangle and angle E in this triangle are the same. And now look, I see parallel lines. This line and this line are parallel. So that means that this angle and this angle are congruent. They're alternate interior angles. And then it also means this is a transversal also. So this angle and this angle
Congruent.
are congruent. Those are alternate interior angles.
So it's yes.
So it's another angle, angle. I can write AAA, but AA is enough. So the answer is yes. Two angles are congruent in each triangle, so that means all three are. And who thinks they can give me the correct order? EDC is similar to what?
ETC is similar to
EWV.
EVW.
Okay, well, let's see who's right. So let's start with E, right?
I guess she's right. Actually, she's right.
Yes. E definitely matches up to E. But now I look at D. D has the two stripes. V has the two stripes. So V has to come next. And then C is last. C is congruent to W. So it is EVW. All right. Should I wait or is it okay to move on?
It's okay to move on, Mister. For me, I don't know for the other.
All right. Let's move on. All right. New kind of problem here. And these problems, they tell me that triangle GFE is similar to triangle GUV. And my goal is to find the missing side length. All right, so here's how it's going to go. I'm going to call this X, just so I can write an equation. All right, I'm going to pick a system. Does anybody care? Should we put the big triangle numbers on top or the small triangle numbers on top?
Big.
This more than
All right, well, I heard big first, so I'm going to go big on top. Now, so I'm going to start with the 48. Okay, I'm going to choose to start with the 48. And the 48 goes from G to F. The order of these letters is important. G to F are the first two letters, so I need to go with GU. GU is what corresponds to GF. So the X goes under the 48. And now I'm going to write an equals. And now I have the big triangle numbers on top. I already used the 48. Now I need to go with the 30. And the 30 goes from G to E. Well, that's the first letter and the third letter. Over here, the first letter and the third letter are G and V. So the 25 matches up with the 30. And now I'm going to cross multiply. And if anybody wants, if you want to reduce this fraction and make your math easier, go ahead. We can reduce this to 6 over 5. But I'm going to pretend that I'm not aware of that, and I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply. All right? So 48 times 25 and 30 times x. I'm going to start with 30 times x. 30 times x equals, and 48 times 25 is 1200. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 30, and 1200 divided by 30 is 40. So that missing side is 40. And we don't know if it's inches or feet or what, it's 40 units. Who's feeling lost on this one?
I didn't get it. I go slower, just a little.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, let's if it's okay with you, Olivier, let's start number 8. I'll go nice and slow, and then if you still want to go back over number 7, I'll back up and go over number 7. Does that sound reasonable?
Actually.
Okay. All right, so let's stick with the big number on top, the big triangle on top, and the little triangle on the bottom. The question mark, I'm going to call that X. Olivier, do you want to start with the 140 or the X?
140.
All right, so 140. All right, now I have to decide which one of these numbers down here corresponds to the 140. So I'm going to look at the letters. The 140 goes from the F to the D. And up here, that's the first letter and the third letter. So which number corresponds to the 140 down here? Is it the 14 or the 9?
14.
Good, because again, I have to match it up. The first letter and the third letter, that's F to R. So F to R corresponds to the 140. Now I'm going to write it equals. Because it told me these triangles are similar, then these sides have to be in the same proportion. The corresponding sides have to have the same ratios. All right, what do I have to put up top?
9.
Well, don't forget, I want the numbers from the big triangle on top. The 9 is from the little triangle.
X.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with X. And the X does correspond to the 9 because X goes from F to E,
Yeah.
which is the first two letters.
And then
So the first two letters here are F to Q. And now I want to cross multiply. Now, I like to start with whichever one has the X. I'm going to start with 14X. If you want to start with 9 times 140, you can. But I'm going to start with 14X equals, let's see, 90 plus 100, 1260. Let me just check my math here. 140 times 9, 1260, yeah. And now I'm going to just divide both sides by 14. And 1260 divided by 14 is 90. I'm just going to go down here and type in 90. How was that, Olivier? A little bit better this time?
yeah, but I got a question.
Yeah.
The X14, where do you find the X? Is this with the X14 or because of the X on top of the 9?
Yeah, so what we're doing, when you have a fraction equal to a fraction, so first of all, here's two fractions that are equal. 1/2 is the same as 3/6, right? So
Yeah.
anytime two fractions are equal, or if you want to check and see if they're equal, you can do what's called cross multiply. The bottom number here times the top number here. 2 times 3 is 6. Then you do top of this one times bottom of that one. 1 times 6 is 6. That proves that these are equal. So that's what I did here. If I know that these two fractions have to be equal, then I know the bottom number here times the top number here equals the top number here times the bottom number here. So I did 14 gets matched up with the X. 14 times X equals, and then I did 140 times 9. And that's how I got the 1260. Am I answering your question or not really?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we go back over number 7, Olivier, or should we just move on and do number 9?
Number 9.
Okay. Does anybody want me to wait before we move on? Right. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's skip ahead to number 10, just for kicks, and then we'll go back to number 9 if you'd like to. All right, for Magina this time, let's do small triangle on top, big triangle on the bottom. All right, Magina,
Well, how much homework you got then? Yes, Mr.
on the small triangle,
Yeah.
do you want to start with 30 or X?
X.
All right, so you're going to start with X. Now I'm going to look.
10, Mister.
What's that?
I think you're going to 9, but okay.
We'll go back to 9. I just wanted to, because 9 looks like 7 and 8, I wanted to do one that looks a little different. So X goes from S to R. That's the first and the second letter. So I'm going to look over here. The first and the second letter are T and U. So the X has to match up with the 112. Then I'm going to write an equals. And then I'm going to make another fraction. I'm putting all the small triangle numbers up here. So the only other number in my small triangle is the 30. And the 30 goes from Q to R, which is the second two letters. The second two letters here are U and V. So yes, the 80 matches up with the 30. And now I want to cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply the X with the 80, and I'm going to multiply the 30 with the 112. I'm always going to start with the one that has the X. X times 80 is 80X. And 30 times 112 should be 3,360. 3,360. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 80.
80.
And x should be 42. And again, if you don't have a calculator, I want to remind you, just go to Google and type in online calculator, and you'll find a calculator. All right, so we'll go down here and just type in 42. That's our answer. Should we do number 9?
Yes, mister.
All right. Kayla, what do you want to do on this one? Do you want to put the bigger triangle numbers on top or the smaller triangle numbers on top?
The bigger.
All right, so let's do big on top on this one. All right, and so Kayla, out of this bigger triangle, what do you want to start with, the 91 or the 77?
The 91.
All right, so let's go 91. Now I'm going to pay attention to the letters here. The 91 goes from the H to the G. That's my first 2 letters, so it corresponds to the side that has the first 2 letters in the other triangle, H to M. So that's the 52. So the 52 has to be matched up with the 91. Now, Lizzie Bett, what do I have to put up top here? What has to go up top? Or maybe to here. Maybe you can help her out. What goes up top to here?
77.
77.
Good, the 77, right? Because don't forget that we got all the big triangle numbers up top. The only other number from the big triangle is the 77. And the 77 goes from H to F. That's the first letter and the third letter. So over here, H to L matches up. And that's my X. And now I'm ready to cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply these 2 things and these 2 things. And I like to start with the one that has the X in it. So I'm going to start with 91 times X. And then I'm going to do 77 times 52. 4,004. 4004. And all I have to do to finish this up, divide by 91. Divide by 91. X equals
44.
44. No, nobody's stupid. I just heard somebody in the background say, is she stupid? I said, no, nobody's stupid. I'm just trying to be funny, that's all. All right. What would you guys like to do? Would you like to just get started on your homework now, or would you like to do the last 2 examples?
get started on homework.
Okay. If you'd like to get started on the homework, let me just see if I've unlocked it yet. Hold on, let me just unlock it here. Edit this. Okay, so you'll see it now in Google Classroom. You'll see the Thursday homework in just a second. If you want to work on that, go work on it. You can check out of Zoom if you'd like to, and come back if you need help. There's about 20, little more than 20 minutes left of class, but you're free to check out and work on your homework. If you'd like to stay, I'll continue and do the last two examples. But if you feel like you're good and ready to work on it, then feel free to check out and work on your homework. Okay?
Thank you.
Pleasure. Have a great day. Nice job. All right. And for anybody that would like to see two more of these, why don't we go on and do two more?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So number 11, we're going to make a choice. Big numbers on top, big triangle on top, or small triangle on top. Let's go big on top this time. Small on the bottom. I'm going to set up two fractions. The big triangle has an 84 and an x. I'm going to go with x. All right. And x goes from M to L. Those are my last two letters in the similarity statement. Q to P are the last two letters in my similarity statement over here. So that's the 24. The 24 in the little triangle corresponds to the x in the big triangle. Now I need the other number for my big triangle, which is the 84. So that's going to go up top. I have all my big triangle numbers on top. And the 84 goes from K to L. And it should be the 36, but I'm just making sure it's not a trick question. K to L are the first two letters in the similarity statement. R to Q are the first two letters in the similarity statement. So the 36 has to match up with the 84. And that's the most important part. Once you've got that, if you've got this correct, chances are everything's going to be correct. I'm going to cross multiply. These two things multiplied equal these two things multiplied. X times 36, I'm going to call it 36x. 24 times 84 is 2016. Now all I've got to do is divide by 36. $36x divided by 36 is just x. And 2016 divided by 36 is 56. So x equals 56. Type it in, and we're good. Am I going too fast? Anybody think I'm going too fast? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 12. Let's do big and small. This top one is my bigger triangle. This is my smaller one. I can start with the 66 or the 77. Let's start with the 66. Now I'm going to look down the bottom. The 66 goes from L to M. My first two letters in the first part of the similarity statement, so the first two letters over here, M to T, are what correspond to M to L. All right, now I've got big triangle numbers on top. The number I haven't used yet in my big triangle is the 77. And the 77 goes from L to K. My second two letters. My second two letters here are T and S. T to S, that's my X. And for those of you guys still here, I'm going to show you something I didn't show you before. If you want to, you can go ahead and cross multiply now. But if you want to, anytime you see an opportunity to reduce a fraction, you can make your math a little bit easier. If I can divide these two numbers by 6, 66 divided by 6 is 11, 18 divided by 6 is 3. So if you want to, you can go ahead and reduce, and it makes your life a little bit easier. And this particular one actually has a nice easy way now that we've reduced it. 11 times 7 gives me 77, so 3 times 7 gives me X. X is going to be 3 times 7, or 21. So if you're following what I just said, feel free to do it that way. Otherwise, we'll just cross multiply. 11 times X equals 3 times 77, which is going to be 210 plus 21. This would be 231 if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 11. I'm going to get X equals 21. Let's call it, this is October 8th.